Hey, welcome to worshiptutorials.com. In this video, we're going to learn how to play the song Who You Say I Am by Hillsong Worship on electric guitar. We're going to do it in the original key, which is G flat. You may notice I have a capo on my guitar. I'm doing it solely so I can access key of D chord voicings because I feel like they sound really nice on this song. Most of the song, about half the song, I'm going to be playing and showing you shapes that aren't even relative to this capo. But I do like to play it using key of D chords with a capo on the 4th fret. I'm going to break this into sections and teach you section by section. I'm going to talk a little bit about the gear, and I'm going to try and keep it in terms that you can get regardless of what you're using. I am personally using a Line 6 Helix. I'm using the Worship Tutorials Who You Say I Am patch with the suggested humbucker settings because I'm using a Suhr Alt T, which has Suhr Thornbucker pickups in it, which are like a low output PAF style humbucker. If you click the links below, you can go to Worship Tutorials where you can see my electric guitar playthrough. You can download this Helix patch if you would like. We have a Fractal AX8 patch for it as well. You can download that. Get the sounds just instantly, the same thing I'm using here. Also have acoustic guitar tutorials and playthroughs. Everything you're going to need to learn how to play this song. The song is at 86 BPM, which is important, especially if you're playing along to a click track to get your delays dialed in. We're going to be using dotted 8th note delay, quarter note delay, and maybe some 8th note delay. I'll let you know when it comes in. Another thing I'm going to do in this video is show you how to play sort of if you're the only guitar player in the band, but also if you're with another guitar player, I'm going to give you different options to play for different sections. So let's get started. The intro and verse is kind of, the guitar comes in on the intro. There's not much of an intro in this song, and it's really just a clean sound. I use the middle pickup position on this guitar, and it's got a 8th note delay. It is in 6/8 time, so 8th note delay is going to kind of act a little differently in 6/8, but it's the same basic idea, and you're just really picking through chords. So that's what my tone sounds like. I have just a little bit of reverb going on with that. It's not the big reverb yet. So really you're just playing, the progression is a D. And I'm picking it like this. So you just go through the progression. D, B minor, which I play like this. And you really want to hit this bass note. It walks down to A. Back to D. D, B minor, A, G, B minor, A, G. And really the important thing is the walk down from B minor to A to G. You just want to hit those bass notes. And if you hear what they do on the album, you'll hear that this is the voicing that they're playing. So they're either playing some shapes that get them up here, or their guitar player is using a capo. One way or another, they're getting these voicings, okay? And when you play it with all the stuff on, it sounds like this. Again, it's just clean with a little bit of reverb, dotted 8th delay. Goes like this. You get the idea how that part goes. Okay, in the first chorus, really all I would do is just strum the chords. So, who the D sun sets free is A, free indeed. I'm a B minor, child A of G, God. Yes, I am. And that's where the little lick comes in, or the riff that you hear in this song. Okay, so let's just go through the chorus. It's the same really basic settings. Okay, so to play the riff, first of all, the tone change happens. I turn on a low gain overdrive. I'm using a clon in the Helix, excuse me. I'm using quarter note and dotted 8th note delay and bigger reverb, so it sounds like this. You hear those delays dancing. Doom, 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 doom. That's important for this. They copied U2 in more ways than one. One, in the actual tone, but two, this riff is exactly the same sequence of notes as possibly the greatest song of all time, which is Where the Streets Have No Name. So to do this riff, take your index finger, bar across the 14th fret on the G, B, and the E strings. Take your ring finger and put it on the 16th fret of the G string, and pick your middle finger and put it on the 15th fret of the G string. Now to play it, you're gonna just basically pluck from the high E to the high B, and then you walk down with these. Okay? And when you play it with the effects, it sounds like this. Now, when I approach these kinds of things, and what I would encourage you to do when you approach these kinds of things too, is don't think about it as like tab, you know, where you're like, okay, 14, 14, 16, 15, 16, 14, 14, 14, 16. You can think of it that way, but a way better way to learn this stuff, in my opinion, is to think about shapes. And you're going to come back to these shapes later. So a G flat shape is basically this shape right here. You bar your index finger across the 11th fret and your pinky on the 14th fret, so 11, 12, 13, 14, on the high B and E strings. You're making this shape. This shape is a shape that's movable anywhere on the fretboard. And you're forming a chord with it. Here you're forming that G flat chord. And this is an inversion of that shape. If you were to play G flat, you can play it like this. Actually, this is a C shape if you think about it. So that is the G flat shape up there, and all they're doing is just, they're playing notes inside of that shape. That's how I would encourage you to learn it. Again, though, to play, just to kind of lock in where you're going to move your fingers, you're coming from here, you're going to slide up to the 14th fret and use that as an anchor. So when you play that first chorus into that riff, it goes like this. The second verse, I have exactly the same tone as the first verse, but I keep that clone turned on. Just gives you a little more dirt. But you play it exactly the same way. And then when you come out of the second verse, now you have choices to make. So you're gonna hit like the big chorus section. So there are two ways you can play this. One is you can just play like you would on an acoustic guitar. Who the sun sets, that's the D. Oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, and then you gotta come up to here. The other way you could play it is you could use that G flat, because it starts on a G flat, which is this D with the capo is G flat. So you can play these chord shapes. It's on the 11th and 14th frets. And you're really gonna only hit the top, maybe 3 strings, 4 strings. Who the sun sets free. That's your G flat shape. O is free. That's a D shape on the 13th and 14th frets. O is free, and you want to mute this string. You don't want to hit any of these other strings, so you're just going to hit the top 3 strings. Free indeed. I'm a child. Back to that G flat shape. Of, back to that that D shape, and then move the D shape down 2 frets. Of God, yes I am. And you're ready for the lick. The riff. I say lick. Bradford Mitchell, who is of course a frequent member of this channel, does not like the word lick. He prefers the word riff. So we're going to call it a riff. Tonally, what I'm doing here is I've got the big reverb on, which is the Glitz reverb in the Helix, by the way. I've got the clon is on the low gain drive, and then it's pushing a tube screamer, which is kind of interesting because usually a tube screamer used to push other stuff. But my tube screamer is kind of like my big drive, and then the dotted eighth and eighth note delay, or dotted eighth and quarter note delay are still on. It's a big, huge ambient, big rhythm sound. And so this is how it sounds playing these voicings. Play it with these higher voicings, it sounds like this. Now, the way I would decide what to play is if I'm the only player in the band, I'm going to play these big chords. They're just going to sound bigger and fill up more space. If there are two players in the band, what you would do is have one player play these. That would be kind of your rhythm part. And then the other player would play these. I about forgot where that was. The other player would play the higher parts. Basically, you're like in a high-low kind of a situation on the neck, and that's going to blend really well together. Okay, so coming out of that big chorus, you hit a big bridge section. What I do for this is that the tone-wise, it's a little more gain, and I turn the eighth note, dotted eighth note delay off, so all I'm using is a quarter note delay. You're just going to play octaves. That's what I like to play. It's going to sound like this. Basically starting on a B minor, octave, almost like a power chord. And that's going to be relative to your capo, the second and the fourth fret. Up 2, up 1, all the way up to where your ring finger is on the 15th fret, and then one up one more. Again. And then on the I am who you say I am, it goes back to. So if you think about where your index finger is going to be on the 9th fret, your ring finger on the 11th, back down 1. Okay, so this is how it all fits together and sounds. I'm going to kind of play it once or twice through, then I'll play the tag, then I'm going to show you how you go back into the chorus, which is pretty much the same tone. If you like, you can kind of go back to your chorus tone. Basically just adds another delay for me personally and a little bit less gain. So here we go. Of course, you're going to go back into whatever voicing you're playing for the chorus. I flipped between them there to show you both ways. Okay, after that chorus comes everything kind of drops out, and there's another chorus. Then we go into an instrumental bridge section. For this, I'm basically using a lot of reverb again, quarter note and eighth note delay. I think it's dotted eighth and eighth delay. Yeah, that's dotted eighth and eighth note delay. And then chorus, so we're bringing the 80s back a little bit. It's kind of it's an easy part, but the timing is a little different. So play your D chord, open on the G string to 2 on the G string, back to open to 4 on the D string, back to open on the G, back to 2. And you play that basically the whole time, even underneath, when the bridge starts to come in, and it sounds like this with the chorus. You can either go middle position, sometimes I like to go neck position here. It just kind of depends on where you're wanting to go tonally. It's helpful to count that out to see how that falls in line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. you notice the part doesn't start on the 1, it starts on the 2. 1, 2, do, 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 5, 6, 1, do, 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 do. It's kind of, like I said, the timing on that is a little weird if you're not used to it, so you can just practice it. Then the bridge actually picks up, and for that part I flip down to the bridge position on the guitar. I keep, basically go to a kind of a mid-gain sound, and you just play that bridge part again. One thing about the bridge, if you go like to multitracks.com, they have this great feature called Rehearsal Mix, and you can listen to each individual part from the album. There are actually like 3 different octave parts in there. I just picked the one that I found as my favorite. I like octave parts that walk all the way up. Some of them kind of start in the middle, go down, then up. But I feel like the main part, if you're going to play, I like starting low and going high. It just kind of gives the listener like, oh, we're going somewhere. This thing is, and especially when you're in a bridge, because the bridge is called the bridge because it's bridging 2 parts of a song together. And so it's just kind of like building anticipation and walking that up kind of builds all that anticipation. You build it over and over and over again. And then in the second time through the bridge, there are 2 tags. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. And then it holds this for an extra bar, in which case I like to put my pinky down on the 12th fret of the B string. It just adds this note into it, which feels kind of nice. I'll play that for you so you hear what I'm talking about. I'll start on the tag, am who you say I am. Then we're back into the chorus. You play the chorus, you play the riff, you play the chorus, and at the end of the chorus, I'm pretty sure the whole band just kind of resolves on the G flat, or we're going to play a D shape. And here's where everyone in the band should probably play this chord shape. It's just going to sound huge. That's a long reverb tail. So that is how you play Who I Say I Am on electric guitar. I should probably note too on these, I want to do a lot more of these electric guitar lessons, and I want to use them to teach some theory and teach how these different shapes work, you know, so you can find these parts inside of these shapes. That way, it's like when you hear a new song and you hear a part, you kind of have some like, I probably know where they're getting that. They're probably getting that from this shape or this shape. It's a lot of it's built around different scales, and you know how notes fall in these chord shapes and that kind of thing. So I want to have a caveat though that a lot of these teachings are probably not going to be note for note like the album. So if they're not, don't get mad at me. This is just kind of how I would approach this song, playing in a worship band where we're going to try and sound like the album. And a lot of times I'm coming in from it like the only guitar player in a band, because I know a lot of you may be the only electric guitar player in your band, so you're trying to cover lead parts and rhythm parts, or maybe you're singing too and you're the only guitar player. So while you're singing, you know, you're gonna play chords that are easy to play, and then yes I am, and then you can play that, you know, because it's like a turnaround section when you're not singing. So, you know, that's how I approach these songs. If you really want like note for note how to play the songs, there's some great resources out there like worshipartistry.com. They will teach you how to play every single note of the song just like it's recorded. But that you know, that's a difficult thing to do. And so what they charge, I feel like, is a really good deal. But you know, hopefully these lessons are helpful to you when approaching these songs. So thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.